with National Greco-Roman Developmental Coach Ike Anderson, who's just returned from Hungary for the first Cadet World Championships held in about 12 years. United States Greco-Roman team participated over there, and the U.S. team was unable to win any medals this year at the Cadet Worlds. Ike, let's talk about some of the athletes and then the team effort there. We'll start with Matthew Rondelle, who ended up placing 8th for the United States at 46 kilos. He was our top place winner. Tell us a little bit about Matthew's competition.
Matthew, biggest competition was his weight, but once we got his weight managed, he made weight pretty good, and then he got a really good draw, and then he went out and he competed against his 2 opponents, one from Croatia, where he lost the first period, but then the last 2 periods he teched the kid. Then he was wrestling Japan, very winnable match, but he made a couple of mistakes being a young kid. He lost the first period, came back, won the second period, and then, the Japan guy adjusted and put him in some situations that he was unfamiliar with. And hit him with 2 headlocks before he knew anything, and, we lost the match.
Let's talk a little bit about Adam Kuhn, who was a world champion in the freestyle at the cadets, stayed around a few extra days to test himself in Greco-Roman. He's been a junior national Greco champion, and obviously he wasn't able to win a second medal. But tell us about him, not only his match, but also as an athlete.
Well, as an athlete, Adam Kuhn is really a phenomenal kid. All the European coaches came up to me and told me that he's a really great kid, really good athlete. And they were excited that he was wrestling Greco. The freestyle coaches and the Greco coaches said, oh, this guy is going to try both. So he's a really good kid, down to earth. Had a really unfortunate break in the first round, wrestling a kid from Slovenia. The match went 1-0, 1-0. Happened to be chosen to go on top in the last period, so Adam had to make a turn to win the match, and he turned the guy. Referee didn't call any points, so I threw out our challenge. The challenge went through. All 3 officials agreed that it was 2 points. We thought we won. They were getting ready to start the match. It was only maybe 8 seconds left. I have no idea who this guy came down from Fila. Went to the jury, guys screaming at him. The jury changed the call to no points, and Adam eventually lost the match. But what was really great about Adam, he took it like a man. He shook the kid's hand, didn't yell at anyone, walked off the mat, and let the coaches, myself, and the team official, Don Reynolds, try to find out what happened. And, we got all kinds of explanation, but none of them were good. Adam clearly won the match, but it just got taken away from him.
Now, we had 8 athletes who competed, and all of them got defeated in preliminary matches, and none of them got a chance to wrestle back. I mean, how frustrating was that for you and for all the team members to go through the experience of dropping a bout and then not having a chance to prove yourself again?
Yeah, for me as a coach, it was really tough because a lot of them were tough matches. I mean, we weren't, the guys that lost weren't losing to countries that I think that we should beat. Like, they weren't getting beat by Croatia or Czech Republic, and not putting those countries down, but we can compete with them, or France. We lost to Azerbaijan, who ended up losing the next round to, Ukraine. We lost to Uzbekistan, and they end up losing to Russia. So it was really hard for the coaches, and even one time I had a kid lose to Russia. He ends up losing the next round to Armenia. So they got a really tough draw, and that's what happens in this tournament sometimes. You get put in the wrong situation, you need to win a match just to carry yourself through, because you're thinking this guy from Russia is going to carry you back, and he ends up getting beat. And our guys wrestle these guys hard, and I think sometimes they're not used to it, and they go to wrestle another tough guy, and it just happens that we wore them out and they lose. So it puts us out and them out.
Yeah, that's got to be difficult. Now, let's talk a little bit about the quality of the competition at the Cadet Worlds and the kind of experience that our U.S. athletes got by participating.
Well, the quality of the competition was Outstanding, Gary. I would say the average bracket was 18. The smallest bracket was 14, and the top countries, Russia, Azerbaijan, all the Eastern Bloc teams brought teams. Finland, Sweden, they all at least brought 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 kids. So these countries know that the future is in front of them, so they're bringing their best kids to compete at this level. For our kids, I'm glad they went because it was an eye-opener. They're not used to seeing that many tough kids at one tournament, where they see a guy from Russia who they thought was unbeatable go out the next round and get beat, So that's a good thing. Hopefully the next time they go, they won't be in such an awe of the countries.
Now let's talk a little bit about your role as developmental coach. What kind of things are you going to be working forward on for the U.S. athletes at the field cadet level based on what you were able to learn from the experience in Hungary?
What I've learned from this experience is that there's a couple things that we're going to have to do. One, we're going to have to move our qualification back because a lot of our kids hit growth spurts, and having it in April and then waiting 3 months to go compete is not conducive for us to compete. So with the events department, our junior committee is going to start talking about, we're probably going to start running, their national tournament later, and even going a little step further, Gary, we may just have a wrestle-off camp procedure where the top 8 field cadet kids come here in Colorado Springs in a training camp and then wrestle off for the position, a 2 out of 3 at the end of the camp in early July. That way we get to work with more kids, try to develop them, and get them on the same page with the national office of what we're doing so that we're better prepared when we go over to compete.
Well, thanks so much for your perspective, and clearly we look forward. Some of these kids, are they eligible to come back next year, or is this...
The entire team except for, I think it was Ryan Gardner from Wisconsin, is eligible to come back next year.
So they might have some guys that get to go back again.
Yeah, so we'll, and Adam Kuhn is one of them, so we're definitely going to have, hopefully, some guys that go back. And like I said, now there won't be enough. The other thing that I want to do is, I'll have to go, state by state, individual by individuals, but I'm going to try to take some of these kids on an event during their winter breaks or spring breaks because they need to see this competition more than just once a year.
Thank you a lot. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.